Sonic Triple Trouble is a direct sequel to Sonic Chaos, as in Japan, the game was called Sonic and Tails 2. And Japan still can't stand the name Sonic Chaos. Triple Trouble was the first Sonic 8-bit game to be a Game Gear exclusive, meaning I have to deal with the screen crunch the console offers. However, the emulator I'm using, Kega Fusion, does have a feature that lets you zoom out the Game Gear games to make it feel more like a Master System port, so let's try that out. Never mind. So in Sonic Triple Trouble, Knuckles is tricked by Eggman again, and it's up to us to get the emeralds back from those two and newcomer Knack the Weasel, hence the name Sonic Triple Trouble. Sonic Triple Trouble feels like it's on an entirely new engine, abandoning the engine that's been used since 1991. But that may be because I'm in denial and these are entirely new sprites for Sonic. And I'm also playing the game with Game Gear Crunch now. The game doesn't really introduce any new mechanics aside from a few new power-ups that I'll get to later. Triple Trouble comes with 6 new zones, with no asterisk this time, unlike Chaos. Green Turquoise Zone is yet another average beginning zone, but with springs in the trees this time. Cool. However, this stage's boss showcases something that Triple Trouble does that I feel should be in every Sonic game. Curling in the air. I don't understand why this isn't in any other Sonic game. It has so much potential for level design. Oh, the level itself is kind of cool. Sunset Park Zone has this really cool mechanic with these rail tracks that you can ride on by spin dashing inside the cart, and the boss is really nice too. You complete Act 2 thinking you're about to start another act, but then BAM! The train starts moving, and you need to get to the front of the train to take it out. With moments like this, Triple Trouble is the most cinematic Game Gear Sonic game by far. It wouldn't surprise me if they wanted to add stage transitions into this game like what they did with Sonic 3. However, with the Game Gear's limited memory, it probably wasn't possible. Meta Jungura Zone isn't the meta era of the jungle zones as you may think. Rather, it's your average jungle stage, now with the annoying Sonic CD glass things from Collision Chaos. Let's move on, please. Robotnik Winter Zone is basically the ice cap for your Game Gear. You've got a new power-up that gives Sonic a snowboard, and the stage is partially underground. Tidal Plant Zone is the bane of my existence. So remember how I said that Chaos's water level, Aqua Planet, was perfectly fine since it wasn't fully water? So basically, the Game Gear team realized that people enjoyed playing a water stage and made Tidal Plant Zone to completely wipe people's memories of good water levels. It may be because I'm a stupid idiot baby who prefers Super Mario Odyssey over Sonic Unleashed, but this and the next zone are difficult to progress in, and it's easy to get lost in these acts. There's a new power-up in the form of the water rocket shoes, which do mostly nothing. At this point, I was getting upset. Clearly, nothing could be worse than this zone. We can just move on and complete this game with no hassle. Oops! Atomic Destroyer Zone? They best rename that to Mental State Destroyer Zone. No! This isn't funny. Atomic Destroyer has somewhat Tidal Plant Syndrome, where it's kind of easy to get lost, but it's mostly me being a stupid idiot baby who prefers Mario Odyssey over Sonic Unleashed. Act 2 in particular has this one portion where you need to go through tubes to get to the end of the stage. Yep, the tubes are back with a vengeance. I was stuck here for about 10 minutes until realizing that you had to press up on the tube. I never want to see a tube in a Game Gear Sonic game again. Okay, final boss. You fight Metal Sonic, Knack shows up for 5 seconds. Oh yeah, I forgot Knack was in this game. Knack the Weasel, or as idiots call him, Fang the Sniper. You may be wondering, why does he only show up for a couple of seconds in the final boss? Well, that's because he's in the special stages, which take place in his home universe, Subspace. Yeah, that's right, Knack's from another dimension, and the Smash Brothers one specifically. Just let me out of this game. Sonic Triple Trouble is the best Sonic game that I never want to complete again. That doesn't make it bad, far from it. But there's just some portions that just ticked me off, whether it's because of screen crunch or some stupid level design quirks. It's definitely the most emotional Sonic game of all time. It made me feel joy, excitement, sadness, rage, and even fear. Despite all the negative things, however, Triple Trouble does actually have some pretty cool parts, like the somewhat cinematic moments, a new character made just for the game, the most of the time cool level gimmicks, and the soundtrack's pretty good too. Maybe if the team wasn't limited to Game Gear hardware, had a higher budget and a few more mechanics, this could have been the best classic Sonic game of all time. You know, maybe if the team working on Sonic Forces actually spent more than 2 seconds developing the game, it could be one of the best modern Sonic games. Doesn't work with everything. Sonic Triple Trouble 16-bit is quite different from the Sonic Chaos remake. Instead of it being a proper 16:9 remake in a modern style, it rather asks the question, what if Sonic Triple Trouble was on the Genesis instead of the Game Gear? And it shines in every aspect it uses to answer that question. Triple Trouble 16-bit has only the first 3 stages from the original game completed, with a few others being incomplete in the code as of now. Incomplete or not, it's more than Sonic Chaos, so there's a point for Triple Trouble right there. Triple Trouble 16-bit's opening mechanic is the ability to switch between Sonic and Tails on the fly. This means that you can use both characters' abilities at any point in the stage you want. Both characters keep their moveset from the original game, along with Sonic having the drop dash and Tails having the flight cancel ability. Just like Chaos, the stages are completely redesigned and the stage mechanics are fully intact and look better than ever. Along with the stages themselves, the music tracks are all new arrangements of the songs from the original game. Like, listen to this. This is Sunset Park from the original Game Gear game. Okay, pretty cool. Definitely impressive for the hardware, I'm sure. Now, how about the remake? Dude, Noah Copeland, the creator of this remake, and the soundtrack went absolutely wild with these arrangements. I'd unironically listen to these outside of the game if I had to. Sonic Triple Trouble 16-bit, as far as it is now, may be my favorite classic Sonic game to date. Base Triple Trouble already had everything that made the previous game so great on a measly Game Gear cartridge, and this remake taking all the flaws that came with squishing it on that cartridge and adding onto it, it makes this game an absolute pleasure to experience. Also, the game has proper stage transition, so we need to move on before I get into a rampage on how good this is all over again. Hey, yeah, so remember a couple months ago when I said Sonic Triple Trouble 16-bit, as far as it is now, may be my favorite classic Sonic game to date. Well, yeah, the full game kind of slaps. Sonic Triple Trouble 16-bit was fully completed earlier this week, and boy, was it worth the 4-year wait. Triple Trouble 16-bit's goal is to answer the question of, what if Sonic Triple Trouble was released on Sega Genesis rather than Sega's old 8-bit portable console, the Sega Game Gear? Now, I've already discussed the original Sonic Triple Trouble and even some of this game in my second video on the 8-bit Sonic games from the 90s, which you can check out in the card on screen. So this won't really be a review of the original game or even the remake. I'm just gonna go over some really cool stuff that either wasn't in the demo or was changed from the demo. When it comes to the gameplay and controls in general, the main mechanic that sets this remake apart from the original is the ability to switch between Sonic and Tails on the fly. This allows you to pull off specific maneuvers or go to specific paths that wouldn't be possible with just one character or the other. Of course, the controls and physics are based on the original classic Sonic games, as having a 16-bit version of Triple Trouble's physics would be very, very dumb. Most of the gameplay mechanics are ripped right out of Sonic Mania and some of Sonic CD with the drop dash and the peel off for Sonic. There's not much more to talk about when it comes to the gameplay and stuff like that. It's just the classic games, but better. Although roll lock is enabled, please disable roll lock in a future update, I beg of you. The stages are completely redesigned with new sections and gimmicks to fit the original Sonic Genesis physics, along with the second acts of each zone being entirely new twists on the existing concept. It does all this while keeping the main theme of each stage intact. One of my favorite examples of this is something that I don't want to show because it happens later in the game and is something that you should experience firsthand. So my second has got to be the climax of Sunset Park Zone. In the original game, Act 2 would seemingly end without a boss fight, but then it's revealed to be a trick as you learn you're actually on a moving train and you need to make it to the engine as fast as you can without dying. So obviously in 16-bit, the developer Noah Copeland took that idea and ran with it. You've got pits that you have to avoid around you, you have to destroy capsules and climb ladders until Knack the Weasel comes in to destroy the train couplings and tries to straight up shoot you with a pistol. Then he whips out a bomb and blows up the train while you try to run away from an oncoming fire until you finally reach the engine and destroy it. That is how you end a freaking zone. The stages in Triple Trouble 16-bit are perfect homages to the original version of each stages, while adding its own unique spin on things, making it fresh for people who have already completed the original Triple Trouble. Like me. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, sure, the spectacle must be cool, but that's nothing if the level design of the stages isn't good. The level design is probably just straight lines like any other non-Lake Pepper 2D Sonic game. Well, guess what, bozo? The level design is actually really cool. I'm sorry for calling you a bozo. That was really uncalled for. Triple Trouble 16-bit's level design rigorously recreates the mix of speed and platforming the original Genesis games offer, and it actually works. You've still got your somewhat linear sections that give you quick rushes of dopamine with intense speed, and the level design also still gives you those slower movements where you need to reach the top or the other side of the section with platforms, launchers, bars, and springs. It's all really fun to maneuver, except for that final stage. As of writing, I still haven't finished it. I guess Noah really wanted to replicate the original stage's BS nature, huh? Come on, X-Pool, it's time to complete the Atomic Destroyer. But it's gross and I don't wanna! No! No! No!
Besides Atomic Destroyer Zone over there, I've had such a fun time with almost every stage. Even the ones that I despised in the original game had some really fun twists in them that I won't show because I really want you to play the game for yourself. Outside of the main game, there's also a competition mode. Featuring a playable Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Fang, competition mode has you and a friend duking it out in either a simple race at the end of the map, Balloon Bash where you need to burst as many balloons as possible before time runs out, or a clean fight to the death, where the first one to get hit without rings loses. If you don't have friends though, there's also an entire campaign with its own story and cutscenes. I don't know why Noah added this in, but it's better than most Mario sports games. It's nice to have a multiplayer mode in this game with cool map designs and variety in different modes, especially with the campaign mode, so where like if someone's on their own, they can still have fun, you know? It's cool. And that's really all you need to know when getting into it. Sonic Triple Trouble was basically the culmination of everything great about classic Sonic games smushed into a tiny cartridge. So to see that vision of the original game realized in the best form it can possibly take is awesome to see. The set pieces, the bosses, the level design, the speed, and the variety. Honestly, Triple Trouble 16-bit might just be the best classic Sonic experience of all time. So this video did not age well. It goes without saying, but please play this game. Noah Copeland worked so hard getting this project together over 4 years, and it's amazing to see his vision of extending this forgotten Game Gear classic realized. Now this is the part where I would make a joke about waiting for the Sonic Chaos remake to be finished, but the guy who was working on that was actually too busy working on Origins to finish it, so yeah. So what if we remade Sonic Blast?
Wait a minute, you've already talked about this game, X-Pool.
If I had a nickel for every time I've talked about Sonic Triple Trouble 16-bit, I'd have 3 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that I've tripled the normal number of times, right? I'm not gonna rant about this game all over again since I've done it twice now, but TLDR, it's the best classic Sonic game, and because of that, it's probably better than your breakfast this morning. The game was completed over a year ago, however, the developer, Noah, the master of coping, wasn't done with the game just yet, as he shadow dropped a patch for the game that adds a few new features. The main new thing to discuss is the addition of Amy Rose as a playable character. She's definitely the most interesting character as she has 3 different movesets. Her Sonic Origins moveset, her Superstars moveset, and her moveset from Sonic 3 Air. She was in that game? Each moveset has you press the jump button twice for her to pull out her hammer. The 3 Air moveset has her bouncing off the ground to jump higher. This sucks. The Origins moveset is similar to her moveset in Sonic Origins, but it's actually not. They lied to you. She doesn't pull the hammer on a single tap. Rather, you have to hold down the button to activate the drop dash, and even then, the hitbox isn't big enough to make a difference in combat. The hammer doesn't even work against bosses. The Superstars moveset is definitely the best of the bunch. Amy's given a double jump, and her hammer's moveset speed is based on her speed going up and down slopes. Despite how great the Superstars moveset is, though, in each moveset, Amy feels oddly heavy compared to her appearances in Origins and likely Superstars. Because of that, I really don't see myself playing as Amy in this game very often. No matter how mediocre Amy is, though, Triple Trouble 16-bit is still the best classic Sonic game, and you're not going to change my mind.
Don't you think Sonic 4 is a good game?
Didn't you cheat in a Sonic racing competition?